Hi guys, welcome to the very first video of Microsoft Power App Beginner to Pro series. In this series, we are going to cover everything about Microsoft Power Apps from the scratch, from the level zero. Even if you do not know what is a Power App, or even if you have never created any apps in the past in your life, don't worry about it. We are going to do everything from the scratch in this series. So I'm going to simplify all the concepts of Power Apps in this series. All you need to do is follow all of my video from the video number 1 to the last video. By the end of the series, you're all experts in Power Apps. Well guys, in this series we will be covering about two kinds of Microsoft Power App. One is a Canvas application, one is a model driven application. This series will start with the Canvas application and then we will slowly move towards a model driven application. What is a Canvas application? What is a model driven application? I will shortly come back to that in a while. But before that, firstly, what is a Power App? Power App is a Microsoft's platform, a low-code platform where you can just drag and drop all the controls into a form, and you can create a complicated web-friendly, mobile-friendly, tablet-friendly applications which almost no code. Okay, this is a no-code platform of Microsoft. Even though I'm using this word no code, but still, guys, to be very frank with you, the Power Apps do have a coding language. It's called as a Power FX. It's an expression-based language. So let me try to show you my whiteboard. See, this is a very popular diagram where you will normally see about the Power Platform, right? So this thing here, the Power Apps, is what we are going to cover. There are two kinds of Power Apps we will be focusing on. One is a Canvas app and the other is a model-driven app. We will be covering both. Okay, we will first start with the Canvas and then we will transition into the model-driven. Okay, we will also see shortly when to use Canvas, when to use model-driven, all that in detail. Okay, so this first video is going to be a kind of an introduction, guys. From the second video on, we will try to understand about a Power Platform environment. What is a Power Platform environment? What are the different kinds of Power Platform environment? That's very important for us to understand first, right? So the next video we will cover about the Power Platform environment, and then in the third video we will deploy a Power Platform environment. See, if you do not have an environment that you see behind me, don't worry about it. You need to definitely have it so that you can practice along with me. If you don't, then don't worry, we will create one fresh brand new one in the third video. But before that, we need to understand what is an environment. We will do that in the second video. In the first video, now we will do a quick introduction because we firstly need to understand the difference between the Canvas and the model driven. That's what I'm heading towards right now. Okay, so let me go back to the whiteboard. So here we have something called as a Power FX expression. Okay, this is the kind of coding language that we will be using for developing a Power App. So you and me, we are all. I'm basically not from a coding background. Okay, I'm a complete functional guy. So people like me, if you are a business user or completely a functional consultant, it's very tough for us to understand this different coding languages. Likewise, even though the Power FX is just a one-line expression-based language, but still could be slightly tough for us, right? So these were the kind of things which actually were blocking our learning and blocking us from becoming an expert in Power App. But now we don't need to worry about it anymore because of this AI, chat GPT, and various different AI tools are available, right? All you need to do is, if you have two monitors, in one monitor, just open a chat GPT, chat with a prompt stating that be my Power FX guru or Power FX expert and provide me with the Power FX expression based on the scenario I will provide you with. Just have that prompt ready and put it in your chat GPT, and chat GPT is going to give you a Power FX expressions. So that skill of knowing the Power FX and ability to write your own Power FX expression is no more needed. Chat GPT will take care of it. But we cannot simply copy a Power FX expression blindly and paste it in your Power App without understanding what it does, right? So we shouldn't be doing that, right? So in the course, what we will be focusing majorly is what is the syntax of this expression, what are the functions, the major functions we will be using in this expression, which control to use, when to use a form control, what does the submit function do, when to use, instead of a form just on a gallery adding a field, and use a patch function to submit the data into the backend table. What is this table control? Let's say if your table control, each of the column needs to be connected to different data sources, then we cannot use a table control. We may need to use a gallery control and make it to work as a table. How do we do that? All of these things is what we may need to focus on learning. Okay, so the ChatGPT will give you the PowerFX expression. You still need to understand it before using it. You need to understand the syntax, functions, controls, and everything is what exactly we will be covering in this course. Okay, so in the fourth or fifth video, we will start focusing on the controls, navigation path, and then we will proceed more deeper into a lot more expert level concepts. That is going to be the flow of this series. So PowerFX, you have ChatGPT to derive it, and the Power Apps, right on the top, you have two types of Power Apps. Okay, let's come to that now. This is a Canvas app, and there is a model driven app. There's one more type, which is a Power Portal or Power Pages. Let's not worry about it for now. Okay, that's a different concept. Let's just park that aside for now. Let's just focus on these two areas for now. The Canvas applications are kind of application where the UI and UX design becomes really very important. Okay, so let me divide this into two. So whenever you're creating an app for your end customer or for the front end users, where the training, you don't need them to be trained on an app. They will just see the app and they know exactly what is the app all about. It could be an appointment booking app. It could be a hotel menu, right? You don't need to train anybody to book or order a food, right, to the cart, and then just like the menu in the hotel, right? So these kind of things where the user interaction is important and the usability experience is important. So those kind of use cases are usually satisfied by building an app using this Canvas Power Apps. Canvas Power Apps, the UI becomes important. The screen real estate, the button, the look and feel, etc. becomes really very important. Whereas on the other side, for the model-driven applications, the UI doesn't matter because the forms are out of the box. They just create. You will not spend much time formatting the text, moving things around in the form level. The majority of the time for a model-driven applications, you will be spending on designing the data model, defining the tables. The model-driven applications are sitting directly on top of the data models, meaning on top of the tables. So modeling the tables, modeling the relationship becomes really very important. That's why they are called as model-driven. They are driven on top of data models. So they are the model-driven. Canvas, it's a blank canvas. You can paint it, you can do whatever you want. So that's the Canvas app. So now you know exactly the high level use case. The Canvas is majorly meant for the front end users, for the business users, for the end users. Whenever there is a customer interaction, the model driven is whenever there is a heavy lifting needed, whenever your back office staff need to use an application which is data heavy, which has a lot of workflows, where the UI is not that important, then usually we position the model driven application. In majority of the times, the business process starts with a Canvas app, meaning somebody books an appointment using a Canvas app with a good UI, and then finally when the appointment comes into the system, they come in the form of like a Canvas application, meaning when it comes into the system, into the database, then the back office staff will action those appointments, and the form that they will see from the back end being for the back office staff to access them are going to be the model driven forms. So in majority of the case in the real life, the Canvas app and the model driven app can go hand in hand, where the business process starts with the Canvas side and then ends with the model driven side. Okay, and whenever the UI is important, then you will go with Canvas. Whenever let's say for example your customer want to use multiple data sources, they do not want to use Microsoft Dataverse. Okay, they only want to use, let's say, Excel. Excel is not a backend, but still they wanted to use Excel as a data source, and they also wanted to use this SharePoint as a data source. In such cases, the model driven is ruled out, and we will be using Canvas, because the model driven app by out of the box can only use Microsoft Dataverse as a data source, whereas the Canvas has this flexibility, it can use multiple data sources. Again guys, the model driven at the moment can only support Microsoft Dataverse out of the box, but doesn't mean that we cannot use other data sources. We can still use SQL DB, Cosmos DB, or SharePoint, etc. through virtual table. That's a different concept. We will cover them later. Okay, but for now, just remember that the model driven supports Dataverse. But if the customer requires, they do not want to use licenses because there is licensing implication when the canvas needs to go with the Microsoft Dataverse. So in such cases, they go with the SharePoint. So then the canvas is the way to go. The model driven is out. Let's say the customer wants to have an application where they have a lightweighted experience for the front end users, whereas the back end users need a much more heavy experience. They wanted to use a canvas. In such cases, they will have a canvas at the front end and they will have a model driven at the back end. So in such cases, both of them will be in scope. And in some cases where the complete application is for the back end staff, not for the front end staff, the workflow is important. It's very highly data heavy. In such cases, we will normally go with a model driven. If the customer wants to connect with the Microsoft Dataverse, then it is going to be the model driven. We won't be positioning a canvas because it could be a kind of if you are having hundreds of fields in a canvas app, the performance wise the canvas app would be the great solution for the customer. Okay, so this is on a high level differences between the canvas app and the model driven app. Again, guys, to give you a much more better clarity, see, this is a classic example of how a canvas application looks like. See, this really doesn't need any explanation, right? You just pick your order and the orders are displayed here, and then you go ahead, click on the button, and then you're going to go to the payment gateway and you're going to make the order, right? So this is a classic example of how a canvas application looks like, and you can even do the same thing with a mobile interface. In this particular case, it's a more of tablet friendlier. This is kind of an app which we can position to an end user where the end user directly interact with the system, right? This is a classic example of how a canvas app looks like. Here the RGB color, the color palettes, and the look and feel, how the gallery needs to be positioned, form needs to be positioned. All of this becomes extremely important in this particular case. Whereas, let's say that you have a rental app, the cars display in the same way. The customer is ordering a car, and the customer have successfully ordered a car. We can still use a canvas app to develop it, right? Just imagine the scenario of a Uber. You're booking a car, but it's not like in a mobile app, but you're doing it in a tablet, let's say, for example, or a computer, let's say, it's like example. You're selecting the model, you're ordering a car, and the car is ordered for the rental, right? So for that experience, again, you will use Canvas. But once the rental order is received in the backend table, the backend staff, they might use still a Canvas app to retrieve the rental orders, but let's say they choose to use little more complex processes. They have a lot of workflows and they desire to use model driven application, right? So in that case, once the order is received at the backend, the model driven forms kick in, right? So let's say, for example, this is one classic example of how a model driven application looks like. So this is kind of a, you have a Microsoft CRM, CE application, field service application. You will see the forms look similar, right? All of these Microsoft CE applications are basically predefined bunch of model driven forms. They are predefined forms, and you can add your own forms on top of it and make your own customizations if needed, or you can just have your own predefined form with your own bunch of custom forms, and you can make your own power apps as well. Either ways, right? So this is a model driven form. You see the look and feel is not great, but this form has so many fields. I cannot introduce so many this many amount of fields in a Canvas app. The performance wise, it may not be good. On the top, it also has multiple business processes, right? So once an order comes in the form of a rental order, the rental guy who is sitting behind the scene uses the model driven form to orchestrate their process. So you see, this is the rental order name, location, start date, end date, and which car is being requested by the customer. Everything comes in this model driven form. In one form, you have all complete 360-degree view, and you also have the process on whether the rental order is completed or whether it's returned or whatever, it's on the top, right? Again, for designing this form, you need to intelligently firstly design the backend logic. For this form, you need a separate table called as a rental order table, which holds all of the rental orders. You need a separate table for holding the car information, meaning the vehicle registration information. You need a separate table for holding all the vehicle models, all the vehicle manufacturers, etc. And then all of this table interact with each other. So the manufacturer table and the model table are connected with each other. So when you choose a manufacturer, the model table will filter and show the relevant model specific to the manufacturer. And then you have a vehicle table and we have the rental order table. All of this table are connected with each other. They have relationship with each other. So establishing the table structure, the relationship between them, the entire table ecosystem becomes extremely important for designing and deciding on a model driven form. Okay, a model driven power app. For the model driven power app, the front end experience is not important, but the modeling of data, the tables are important. That's why they call it as model driven. So this is a primary difference, guys, between a canvas, how a model driven looks and how a canvas looks. Hope you get some kind of an idea. At this stage, you don't need to understand every single thing. If you have this high level idea, then that's fine. For now, we are just keeping the model driven aside and we will be focusing on the canvas application. Once you understand this, and then we can jump into the next one. That's going to be the sequence of flow in this particular course. So with this introduction, in the next video, let's try to understand about the environment. On the right hand side corner on the top, you see there's something called as environment. There are different kinds of environment like sandbox environment, trial environment, developer environment, production environment. What are they and what are they significant? And for our practice, what environment should we do? Should we do a developer environment? Should we do a trial environment? Trial environment has the drawback, it will only be available for 30 days. Developer environment will be available for unlimited number of times and it will give you access to all the premium connectors. So how do we get that environment? That we will be doing in the third video, and in the fourth video we will create a brand new power app and we will understand each of those controls, etc., from the scratch, and then we will do some projects in this series, guys. So that's going to be the agenda of the series. Just in case, guys, if you want a lot more deeper version of this particular power app course, then you also have a paid course. The link for the course is available below. If you're interested, go for it. If not, then in this particular YouTube series, I will still be covering, will definitely still help you in getting started with Microsoft Power Apps, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video.